Thank you, Stanley, for asking this important question. Merry Christmas to you. So, yeah, rental income tax is not entirely new in our budget, right? It has always been there. So, if you own a property and you have tenants, be it commercial or private residential, I mean, you should know this, that you are supposed to pay rental income tax, or is supposed to pay tax on the income you get from the rent that your tenants pay. So this is not new. So in the budget, there isn't a new flat tax for landlords who own properties, be it commercial or be it private residential, right? So there's not new. What the budget actually speaks about is probably about the collection of that tax, trying to find ways to create a database of who owns what property and what kind of tenants they have and how many tenants they have, how much they are paying. These are the areas where probably the government is lacking, because they don't have this information, so the tax is not paid to the standard they would expect, right? So, but what's new in this budget, what has been causing this confusion is, excuse me, is the 10%, this is new, the 10% presumptive withholding tax on rent, right? So this is, let me clarify this maybe before I explain what this presumptive withholding tax is on the rent, whatever, or where landlord come into this equation. In our economy, we know that we have the formal economy and we have the large informal economy, which is pretty much the actual economy of our country, the informal sector. So government has no way, or is struggling to collect or to earn tax from the business operations that are not in the formal books, right? The businesses that are not recorded, the small scale businesses, they are small scale manufacturers, the small scale traders, whatever small business that is operating as in the informal sector. The government has been struggling to collect or to enforce sort of policies on how to get them to pay tax. And you know, our minister, as I alluded earlier in the video that you asked this question on, is all about taking the money, our money. He wants it from us, right? So this is what they have introduced, right? So they realized this thing. These businesses, where they're operating from, they are whether in town or in the small industrial spaces, or be it in our location, in our suburbs, wherever these businesses are operating from, they are housed under a landlord, someone who owns the property that they are renting, right? So the government, in their mind, or their beautiful expensive suits, they sat down and they decided, let's employ, or rather let's force landlords to become ZIMRA tax agents, so that they can collect tax on our behalf from their tenants, right? Whom we cannot collect tax from, or whom we cannot ascertain how much they are supposed to pay tax, whatever the case is. So they've decided the landlords should be the ones collecting that tax and remit it or send it to ZIMRA on behalf of government. So this is how they are picturing it happening. So assuming you are renting $100 where you are doing your business, be it a small shop, whatever business, right? And your landlord is supposed to withhold 10% from that $100 that you are paying in rent and send it to ZIMRA as your tax, right? So the government is not going to come and calculate how much you actually earned in your business. They're just going to assume 10% of the rent that you are paying is your tax, right? So the actual question, or where the tension is coming from on this issue, is who is bearing this burden of paying this presumptive withholding tax, right? Who is paying this money? Because I mean, the landlords are not increasing the rent, and the tenants are not adding this 10% on top of the rent they are paying. So the question now where landlords are questioning is, so you're saying, if I'm charging $100, this is my income, right? That this is my money, and I have to pay $10 to ZIMRA. So now the landlord is taking from their income and pay $10. And mind you, if they are already complying with rental income tax, it means they also have to pay another, what if then in the 25% bracket, another 25% tax to government on their rental income. Because remember, this 10% that they are withholding from their rent and paying to ZIMRA is not from them, is not their money. The government is saying it is our money. So don't get that confused. So in reality, that $100 you are paying is going to be taxed twice when it reaches the pockets of your landlord. One, the landlord has to take 10% and pay it to Zimra on your behalf, because it's not their money. Then they remain with 90. That 90 they have to then pay rental income tax, because that 90 is now their income. So this, I hope this clarifies the whole issue on the presumptive withholding tax on whatever, on rent. I hope this helps you a lot. But again, just a summary: rental income tax, not new. The presumptive withholding tax, completely new. The key question is, who bears the burden of paying this tax? There have not been any clarity on that from the ministry, and also there have not been any incentive to encourage the landlords to be forthcoming in terms of reporting how much they are earning in terms of rent, and also any incentive to encourage them to actually pay or to withhold that tax and pay. So I don't know if the government is going to incentivize the tenants to report how much they are paying in rent so that the landlords can comply, or if they're going to, if they're going to incentivize the landlords. So this is one thing that I can't figure out as of yet on how they are going to implement this. Let's watch this space. I mean, only time will tell. Thank you.